Good morning and thank you so much for keeping it NBS television. You're watching a topical discussion. Today we're looking beyond Chankwanzi and we're asking the pertinent question of how these resolutions will be made more than just resolutions. My guests today are definitely members of parliament, and we also have state ministers in our midst. I am privileged this morning to have the State Minister for Gender, Mary Kamuri Kutesa. I also have the State Minister for Public Service, Lydia Wanyoto, and I'm also with the former member of parliament for Tororo County North, Geoffrey Kaya. We're getting into these conversations and we're asking, beyond Chankwanzi, will resolutions deliver results? Many Ugandans wondering what goes beyond the traditional retreats that they have gotten accustomed to. What is different about these resolutions now as ministers met with the technical teams to align? Many Ugandans will be wondering, will they walk the talk? That entirely is a conversation we're getting into right here. Honorable members, it's a pleasure to have you with me on topical discussion today. You're welcome.
Thank you, Tracy.
All right, let me get into the conversations. And I just want to begin with those that were present at the Chankwanzi retreats. That happens to be the honorable ministers that are with me this morning. Honorable Lydia Wanyoto, what were the resolutions? Many Ugandans are hearing resolutions from Chankwanzi. What were the resolutions from the cabinet retreat?
Thank you for having us this morning, and I would like to say good morning to my colleagues in the studios, Honorable Chimuli and Honorable Geoffrey Kanya, Madam Kutesa. So, like you said, I'm Lydia Wanyoto Mutende. I'm a woman member of parliament from Mbale City. So I bring you greetings from Mbale, the people of Mbale City that gave me the chance to represent them. And I should have been in Kalangala. So you're lucky to have me here because ideally I should be in Kalangala protecting one of the polling stations and running around to make sure that the tally center works for the NRM. So I wish Nabaiga, my candidate, a victory today, and the NRMs who are there. We hope that you are going to have a peaceful election and that may the victory of my party come through to replace Honorable Nachimuli, and may her soul rest in eternal peace. She was my friend. So that said, I also want to congratulate the people of Chikube for electing the LC5. So now I think government is now complete. Because when we were taking oath, we were saying we are 528, but we should be 529. So after today, Parliament will be 529. And Chikube, now the story of the LC5 will also be complete because we lost the LC5 chairman, we also lost the member of parliament, woman MP for Kalangala. Back to Chankwanzi. So Chankwanzi was very important for us, especially those of us that are new. I'm a new member of cabinet.
Yes.
I've been around, but I've never been to cabinet. So, the first obvious issue was to interact and to know one another, but also to get to work. Because when the chairman came to open the retreat, was very clear, intentional and clear about the direction of what this government, what this cabinet is supposed to do. And he coined his story of saying no more sleep and no corruption. Just as brief as that. So if we talk today and you don't pick much, just know that this cabinet, there will be no more sleep and no corruption. But from the bigger picture, from the resolution, we were able to unpack the National Development Plan 4, which is the guiding policy document on the development and the growth of the economy in Uganda. And we are able to also look through the NRM manifesto, which is a social contract with the people. You know, the NRM manifesto is aligned to the National Development Plan 4. Fortunately, I've been in the executive board of the National Planning Authority, so I come with hands appreciating the strategic directives of the president and his intent on where he wants Uganda to go. We've summarized the agenda for the next 5 years into 4 flagship projects that are supposed to help us to grow the economy tenfold. I'm sure you've heard about the tenfold growth, which is supposed to take us to $500 billion US. My brother Kanya here is an economist. We've been together for a long time trying to see how we can help our country move. So, how shall we get the tenfold growth? We are looking at 4 key areas, what we call we heard about the ATMs. That if we fix the 4 sectors, they have a multiplier effect. And if we delve into discipline, no sleep, and fix corruption, we'll get the tenfold growth for our country. And Uganda will be up and running. So, the ATMs, what are the ATMs? There's the agro-processing, because Uganda is really an agricultural country. We want to fix the agriculture so that it works for us, both as food security, but most important, exports. That's why we're talking about value addition. And recently, the first activity we had as members of parliament was to pass a law that speaks to irrigation. Because like now, the whole country seems to be very arid. But if we fix irrigation, then agro-processing, we shall have productivity, and then we fix the sector and be able to export. The second one is tourism. Tourism has a lot of multiplier effects. Tourism brings in money, but also there's the issue of our food, the issue of our culture, there's the issue of accommodation and transport. It's a multiplier. It is an enabler to the economy. And then, of course, the third one, the aim is minerals. We are like a country with a lot of minerals potential. When we were in Chankwanzi, we had an excursion in Kingfisher area, fields, to look at the progress of the oil and gas sector. This has been a big investment, but we are beginning cabinet when there's a promise that the first oil products and marketing will be in our time. And they're talking about even this year, maybe August, or where, because when we were there, we were looking at the progress was like almost 90-something%.
The ATMs, I mean, most of the Ugandans by now have heard about the ATMs, the tenfold strategy. But let's speak about the resolutions in terms of strategic, priorities that you are setting out as ministers of this particular 7th term. But also let's speak about timelines. And I want to particularly, join in here.
Otherwise, I would leave. Because if you are talking about government, you remain consistent.
Yes.
You cannot now begin talking about resolutions. We are aligned to NDP4. What I'm going to do in public service, the nucleus of the manpower of the country, what she's going to do in Ministry of Gender, where the people's ministry, culture, women, youth, people with disability. So we met, and we're talking about the whole government approach. We are no longer going to have silo mentality. What works for public service must penetrate through Ministry of Gender, must penetrate through Ministry of Finance and Economics, must penetrate through Parliament, that we do business. So it was the Chankwanzi was about the mindset, if you want, of a whole government approach. So do not expect anything new of a resolution outside the summary of what I've given
happened
you.
There. There you have it. So when we get into, now that we know the mindset, and we know who was present, and we know what was agreed upon, the strategic direction.
Whole government.
Honorable Kutesa, let me get to you. Let's speak about the timelines that you've set from this particular retreat that you had. What should Ugandans be expecting in the 7th term in terms of those priorities, but also the timelines that we're working within?
I think the timelines, so to speak, are set again, as Lydia has said, within the NDP4. So we have 5 years in which we have been given an assignment to see Uganda move from a $60 billion economy to a $500 billion economy. 5 years. That's it. There is nothing outside. There is nothing less. Our target now is to make sure, as the president has asked us, as Ugandans, of course led by us as Team No Sleep Now, to make sure in the next 5 years we are taking this leap from 60 to 500 billion. So the question is this possible? Is this a reality? Can it happen? And as we met at Chankwanzi, the questions and the reality, moments of truth and facing one another to say, we have had the most excellent policies around the region, if not on the continent. So the questions we're asking ourselves, why have these policies not materialized into what we actually want to see on the ground? And so the 5 years that we have now is to make sure that NDP4, which is an excellent policy, does not remain an excellent policy on paper, is in fact realized. in real time, which is the 5 years. And this is what we have. One of the key cornerstones of what we have to deal with is do not sleep on the job. Now, that do not sleep on the job does not affect only the people led by Honorable Lydia, the public service sector. It does not affect only the politicians as your leaders. It affects you and your family. It affects your LOC1 area, your community, and all of us as Ugandans. All of us must ensure we are not sleeping on the job. What exactly does this mean? That if you are a member of a household, and I'm using the word member, not necessarily the head, because the head might have failed and is still sleeping, it's your duty to wake up. Wake up and make sure every Ugandan is participating in building our economy. We have a huge population of young people.
Absolutely.
They are not in employment. We also have that need. They may also not be in school. And we are now tasked to make sure we bring them where they should be. If it is skilling, they must be in skilling. If it is employment, they must be in employment. But they must be productive members of our economy. So how do we do this? The NDP4 has come up with a brilliant idea of every region having an industrial hub. We must make sure that happens.
In the 5 years.
Every region must have an industrial hub. Now, that 5 years term is for all of us to make sure you don't sleep in your region. If it is land that is required, and most of them have been delayed by land. But you know, we have vast lands in this country that are doing nothing. But you can't believe we have failed to place some industrial parks in areas which could immediately change employment for our young people. So we must wake up as leaders at every level. We must wake up as Ugandans at every level to make sure we do what we must do. So get these industrial hubs to work. That is going to be a catalyst for employment for the young people. It's going to be a catalyst for the economy, because as the industry sets up, if it is going to produce wine, it means there is another chain of women who might grow pineapples, of men who might grow all the ingredients that come from the farm and are fed or feeding the industry. That catalyst is enough to take us from 60
to 500. Well, thank you so much, Honorable Mary. If I could just bring in Honorable Kanya here. You've heard about the ambitions, you've heard about the retreat and the resolutions and the timelines. Ambition and reality, when you look at what they've set out as the government in the 7th term, is this realistic from your perspective?
While at college, they taught us about the history of the French and the economic transformation of Japan. And they said part of the challenge, Japanese and the French were able to move forward after several years of slow growth, was to remove the concept of same wine in an old bottle. So if you have new wine in an old bottle, you will not see much. You will see more of rhetoric. And I want to thank Honorable Tessa, the Minister of Public Service. Because what is the cost in NDP4 for establishing a single industrial park in Uganda? All the industrial park we have in Uganda, and this is not the first time. Even NDP3, the concept has been there. NDP2 has been there. What have we achieved? What we have achieved is industrial park established by transactionalist leaders. And I appreciate General Salim Saleh working with Chinese in Kapeka. I think government working with some Chinese off-takers in Mbale. But the government of Uganda and that land of Mbale, some people in Bugisa have not been compensated. So in NDP4, we have costed all this. The money is not there. Let's talk the truth. The money is not there. Government issued guideline that districts should provide land. I mean, districts. I mean, the entire budget of the district is controlled by the center, and it is a transfer. So the policy, as Honorable Kutesa has said and Honorable Lydia, we have good policies in place. But the challenge we have as Uganda is to have the same wine in the same old bottle. Will not move much. But the Chakwanzi resolution to me was good in terms of refreshing and bring on board the new ministers, the new MPs, to appreciate government programs, appreciate government policies, but by and large, implementation. President Museveni talks about donating jobs for the last 30 years. And I really support him saying we should not export jobs. We should manufacture add value to our minerals, which is the second strategy in terms of achieving tenfold growth. But we donate jobs in terms of contracts. Our budget, in terms of strategic sectors where we allocate huge money, infrastructure, that's energy, roads, education. Big contracts are done by Chinese, by Europeans, and Indians. So you cannot indigenize the economy. So these contractors implement big contracts and externalize profit. Now, if these contracts were being implemented by Honorable Lydia here,
yes,
you'd find that she would indigenize, train, transfer knowledge to the young people, then young people would create jobs, and therefore would grow, would achieve the tenfold growth. But that is not happening. So if you see the president the other day was attacking young people going to Middle East, that what are they looking for?
The brain drain.
Brain drain. But the next day was in Kidepo, handing over construction of Kidepo Airport to a company from Dubai. We have launched the standard gauge railway, but a company from Turkey. 90% of the jobs, Ugandans are basically laborers, young people waking up at 5 o'clock. So my appeal to the new team is that speak to power and insist.
So are we the new wine or are we the old bottles or both?
No, you are new wine but in old bottle.
It's a very interesting analogy right
Yes.
there. Honorable Wanyoto, you do hear the concerns raised by Honorable Ekanya in sort of saying, well, there is good policy, good paperwork. When it comes to the implementation of these particular things you set out to, that takes a different turn. And we want to find out from the Chakwanzi retreat, what particularly, after you addressed the gaps, what are the strategies you're putting in place to adequately cover the gaps that NDP3 raised, that even Honorable Ekanya, and even from the submission by Honorable Mary, that there are gaps that you do not contend with. But what are the strategies that make sure that then this becomes a reality?
One, reforms. We are going to have reforms because where we are coming from is not where we are now. We are going to have reforms in many of the sectors, including in the judiciary. We want to have some reforms there. I want to agree that when we have the policy on FDIs, foreign direct investments, there's been a lot of leverage to attract PECs to attract investors to come to Uganda. But where we now we can go back on the table and review and see how it works for the indigenous Ugandans. I also want to let you know that, of course, Geoffrey knows that in the last 2-3 years, they've worked very hard even for Parliament to ensure that there's what they call local content, which was not there in the past. For a lot of projects now, the word local content is the catchword, it's supreme. In the oil and gas sector, there's local content. We want to look at local content even in the infrastructure and the technological transfer, for example, in the industrial parks. So I agree with him. We have no business not feeling the economy, because even with some flagship projects of saying let's have every Ugandan join the money economy, we are trying to reduce the percentage of people who are outside the money economy using some ambitious programs like parish development model, but that is not enough. We need to look at Ugandans participating in procurement to be able to take up big projects in infrastructure, even hydropower, even providing other energy forms like energy. At least we can have contracts in terms of maybe joint ventures. Yeah, we do joint venture, but by a bigger percentage, and what we call local content now. So if we can do joint ventures, because Uganda is not standalone, many countries in Africa have now learned that you cannot just give everything away. You must have a joint venture that benefits the local people. At the same time, you have a properly crafted contract to ensure that nationals benefit, but also there is technological, visible intentional and deliberate transfer of technology, but also resources. On the issue of finances, it cannot also be left open. If you come to work in our country, I don't know how much the sovereignty bill, I was not in parliament, has helped, or even the financial intelligence. We cannot leave people that come to invest in Uganda get away with all. There must be some negotiated contracts. So we need to revisit contracts and look at the templates that work for Uganda so that we can empower Ugandans in the financial sector so that they can also be empowered. We know the bidding sometimes leaves out to Ugandans because they lack capital. So we want also to look at the issues of patient capital. In the past, UDB was not up and running, and the Uganda Corporation Bank. But now, I have been seeing that there has been an intentional incremental support to banks that would work for Uganda with patient capital. Because if you have patient capital, you can now bid for big projects. Because all these foreign companies, back at their homes, they have what we call patient capital for development. So UDB is on board and other efforts to fix the financial efforts so that we are able not just to talk, but to enable. These are enablers to be able to get the indigenous people or the local content to work for Ugandans. If it doesn't work, then in the legal frameworks, we at least fix the issue of local content, but also partnerships and joint venture, and then we see how Ugandans can benefit. It also speaks to the tenfold growth. We are not going to realize the tenfold growth if we do not do the reforms I'm talking about.
Very interesting. And before I actually get back to Honorable Mary here, you are in a ministry, public service. We've had concerns. We're speaking about this because from the retreats, from the resolutions, you did say, you know, it's going to cut across, including services. And when you look at, for example, within the public service ministry, you're looking at concerns that have been raised of jobs that are, you know, district service commissions that are indeed extending jobs to people who are either incompetent. There is high corruption within that particular one. You have concerns about just the minimum wage the country is currently facing and is yet to commit on that front. In the resolutions that came forward, particularly within your docket, are these some of the concerns that will be part of the reforms you do talk about?
Sure, without any doubt, because I begin from the NDP4 because that's the campus, the guiding policy document and the manifesto. We were able to propose very, very robust and very competitive reforms in the public service because you cannot talk about growing the tenfold campaign without fixing the right people in the right places. So we have a lot of people who have been acting capacity that has to stop. If somebody has been in an acting capacity, they cannot work. They are not comfortable. So we must first of all confirm. If you've been in an office for 6 months and you are not being confirmed, read me in the screen. If you are competent, you'll be confirmed. If you're not competent, then you go. We cannot have either way because we want competent people settled with the contract. We are going to have performance appraisals, performance contracts. So you cannot have somebody in acting capacity and then you give them terms of reference to deliver. So the issues of accountability are going to be serious reforms. Issues of supervision are going to be serious because these have not been happening in public service. Has been having the traditional story of permanent and pensionable. That is gone now in the new reforms. It's no longer you'll only remain to work if you can perform and deliver, and so it's going to be run like business because we must deliver the target of tenfold, and it has to be done by people. And then the other thing that I've already seen in public service because of the proposals we made in the NDP4 is that many, and maybe Geoffrey you can add because you've been in parliament, many like in the education sector, many schools don't have the right capacities of teachers. Even when they talked about enhancing science teachers, many of them went on leave, study leave, or they've taken early retirement and they've not been replaced. So there are gaps in schools, laboratories, the sciences, but also you may find that they are deploying headmasters and deputies in schools, but the strength of the teaching for our children is not yet up because of the wage bill. So public service must fix the wage bill. We must fix the wage bill, employ people, give them contracts, and then track accountability for performance. Performance indicators there is no way we are going to achieve tenfold growth if people are not working, and if there are gaps in the. Then the issue of corruption in the sector where I have been deployed.
Yes.
If a Ugandan merits, they'll get the job. There is no way, because we must first of all make it efficient and competent. Why would someone not read an interview before you leave? Or because of the IT, we must also use the digital. Because people sit interviews, then it takes 2 months. That's very tempting. Within the 2 months of getting back, a lot happens. Yes. But you get instant results. If you've won the interview, get your job, come and work. So these are some of the reforms, because we have to go digital. We have proposed digital. We no longer can have files on the cabinets.
We can't track because
because again, the skilled population who are younger than us. Most of them are digital. Uganda changed. It has to be up on the digital platforms. So we really cannot afford the civil service that we have now. It will not speak to the tenfold growth. And if you have the civil service the way it is now, then they have no choice but to sleep. We are saying no more sleep. So we must have enablers and force multipliers to ensure that the no sleep is aligned to what we want.
Well, thank you so much, Honorable. We are certainly going to be taking a short break. When we come back, a topical discussion continues to delve in and analyze the resolutions that were from the Chankwanzi retreat for the ministers, who were, by the way, joined by permanent secretaries. And of course, we'll be getting into these discussions right after this break. Do stay with us.
Some snacks for you, your man, papa, your granny and your picnic. Well, if I can, the snacks for you. Come pick anything you want. Some snacks for your tummy. Yummy, yummy.
Sam's, delivering memorable moments in every household.
Are you planning an event? Think of X Events. For the best photography and videography of all kinds, we believe that every moment is worth capturing. Whether Kwanjula, weddings, Kuhinjira, bringing out the culture and glamour. And of course, a professional team that has mastered the art of the game and progea with elegance. X Events is located along Rubaga Road on Access Building opposite Hotel Sojavalo. X Events, capturing your precious moments.
Kumulembe kuna abakozi bachayambala ebintu ebyo bisambala bannannyini makolero si kampuni abakozi mubafunire uniforms eziri ku mulembe okuva mu George Color Solutions banyirire bafulume mu material ne design ebiriko ate nga kuliko n'akabonero ka kampuni yo olwo business ogiba abantu mu maaso bagimanye tosubwa campaign eno omulamu akugamba nti stand out mu uniform yo ne George Color Solutions bali ku Prime Complex ku Johnson Street shop number C24 esimu noti 7772 45 91 mwenda wamune ku www.judecolorsolutions.com.
Why pay for someone else's repairs? Say goodbye to hidden costs and hello to peace of mind of a brand new start. Discover the Suzuki range of unmatched, fuel-efficient and reliable options. From the iconic Jimny to the new Across Hybrid. Find the perfect blend of style and world-class efficiency. Upgrade today and enjoy 1 year of free fuel and comprehensive insurance, plus 2 years of free service and a 3-year warranty. Trade in your current car or choose financing to start driving as you pay installments. Don't wait. Visit the Suzuki showroom today or call 0800-211-033 to get started.
Oi! There's only one Vinny J.
Football is better with Pepsi. Pepsi, thirsty for more.
Reggae live in concert at Kololo Airstrip. Namusambu August. Chefuro Chigenda Kubera. Get ready about the biggest Ugandan show. Mustari ya Kitombola, Waguru Matara, screen, stage, ne sound. Ngabiona, ya Phenom Records. Sinye mtuare satwe. Hare badi ngo konsa momo, mtuare vili. Jeje mtuare tano. Hare badi ngo kuzeku momo, mtuare satu. Emeze ya bantu mkage milioni bili. Ya bantu mwana ya milioni satu. Niga kamu nyenye mumkaga tano kamnyenye bili zero. Otunge tiketi yawe. Reiji. Yata hawasa Uganda na mani. Hati ninye tabembara. Hababushenyi. Higara. Yantonde. Habeibanda. Rukunjiri. Muije murebo mwana wanyu. Nachtera. Nach Honda. No shotwagara mwebyani byanywa mate. Ebishagara. Ebishapa stacking. Koranyenye. Kololo Airstrip. Musambu August. Bitegekedwa. Abitex Promotions.
The Ministry of Health informs the public to remain vigilant against Ebola virus disease. Symptoms include diarrhea, vomiting, abdominal pain, fever, and body weakness. If you or someone you know develops the symptoms, seek medical attention immediately. Protect yourself and others by avoiding handshakes and unnecessary physical contact, washing your hands regularly with soap and water, or using an alcohol-based sanitizer. Cleaning frequently touched surfaces and avoid direct contact with infected persons' body fluids like vomit, stool, sweat, and urine. To report a suspected Ebola case, send an SMS to 6767 and type alert, or call the toll-free number 0800 100 066. Report early, protect lives.
Sometimes escape begins above the clouds, where peace waits beneath the trees. Here, nature invites you to breathe, to reconnect, to feel alive again. Where warm welcomes feel as natural as the forest around you. A sanctuary designed for comfort, and moments made to flow effortlessly. Forest Resort Louise, where nature welcomes you home.
Welcome back. You are watching a topical discussion. We're looking at beyond the Chankwanzi retreat and, of course, pertinent conversations into what needs to be done for those not to just be resolutions, but rather, those that do change the lives of many Ugandans. I am joined by Honorable Lydia Wanyoto, who is the State Minister for Public Service, also a woman member of Parliament from Mbale City. I'm also joined by Honorable Mary Kutesa Kamuli, who is the State Minister for Gender. Many thanks for joining us. And Honorable Geoffrey Ekanya, who is, of course, a former member of Parliament, and we'll be getting into the conversations. Honorable Ekanya, I want to get into the insights of, do you actually feel the resolutions are a legitimate roadmap that needs to get Ugandans where they are supposed to be, especially with the ambitions we've had, or this is just a political retreat with just, a couple of things being aligned? With all bottles in the wines in the same retreat.
The way I call Chankwanzi meeting or retreat was an academic meeting to enlighten and to bring on board the new members of Parliament, the new team that joined the new government, basically. And I agree with the Honorable Lydia and Kutesa that they had to stick to the NDP4, which is a document that emerged from public participation. And also, I'm sure they also had to adopt or recommit themselves to implement the 3-year public investment plan. But the challenge, though, is when you go deep, to achieve the tenfold growth, you need honesty, discipline and management, which they have said they are committed to. But in terms of implementation, we don't feel it on the ground. we need reform, institutional and governance reforms. For example, Pillar 2, tourism, which they committed to. Kampala City is full of border. There is no practical plan to support the young people who are trying to hustle and daily living out of the border. What you hear that we are going to introduce 300 buses, which is good, to support public transport, and then that will eliminate this border from the city center. Because the border industry is supporting growth, but it's affecting tourism, which is pillar number 2. Tourists are complaining, meet the tour and travel companies. Some of them are abandoning coming to Uganda. They are going to Rwanda and Kenya because in this city you cannot move easily. You are hit by border. But they have nothing to do. Secondly, you now have everybody with the lead car. People in offices, in government offices, have been put in a state of fear. Everybody has a lead car, commissioners, even MPs, directors in government parastatals. All arm officers have lead cars. Last week I was from the airport. I saw this general bumping over tourist, the road, because he wanted to move, and then there was no space. The first lead car went, and then this general passed, and then the third one, the driver was squeezed up on the pavement, and they came and bumped him off. So if you send such image, tourists get scared. It is something that President Museveni and all of us need to address, because one time I was bumped off the road. So these are two bottlenecks. I've just highlighted 2 bottlenecks that will affect the tenfold growth, and especially tourism. Now, to get this border out of the city is very simple. Japan, North Korea, and so forth. We have done studies and benchmarking that the young people, when they come out of universities, you create up industrial cottages. You transfer technology. I was in Korea with President Museveni and the ministers of industry and so forth. And the government of Korea took us through how they transformed the economy. Young people, get them out, establish industrial parks, but for the last 40 years, this is rhetoric, little action. But when it comes to the interests of politicians, it is achieved. Secondly, you just gave out to the Ugandans PDM, which is part of the transformation agenda for tenfold growth. The next day you wake up and you say, trade order. The Mioga, the PDM, the women money, which were given to these poor people because they should be growth stage. They opened up stalls by the roadsides. As you said, industrialization, industrial process. It is the women, the youth who started by making this Gonja scripts. Now we have industries moving to Gonja script. So they opened up along the roadsides, licensed by the local government. They got rights, health inspectors inspected them, but the next day you wake up, say, the entire country, we are breaking buildings and establishing trade order. So who has lost? First, government has lost because these people received PDM money. Secondly, they sold their properties, they are from universities. All of them are off without any strategic provision. So we have a government that works for people or a government that goes to Kwanzaa and talks. Right
there, I want to bring in the Honorable Mary Kutesa. You've heard about the likes of the parish development model. You are indeed the State Minister for Gender. So let's speak about livelihood here. You have an initiative such as the parish development model. The next day you have a trade order, just like the Honorable Kanya has mentioned. And in the end, what is supposed to be a revolving door fund is no longer revolving because that money will certainly not be returned in the manner it was dished out. And yet you are actually adding more money to these very initiatives. So let's speak about these initiatives from the cabinet retreat that you did have. What particularly are you going to do to address the challenges within the fact that you have programs that do not end up meeting the intended results?
Thank you so much. Do allow me not to gloss over certain things.
Yes.
And so allow me to go back to a few things which have come from my colleagues and then move to the revolving funds. Number one, let's realize that 40 years that we talk about are 40 years of growth, and there is significant growth that is clearly seen because we're talking about an economy that was 3 billion to 60 billion. That's not doing nothing. That's growth. When you give birth to a child, that day when they come out of your womb, they don't start running. They are stages. And so let us not start comparing ourselves with Japan, with America, and what. We are progressing where they have moved a period of 20 to 40 years, our baby steps, if you compare their first 20, we are absolutely on the right track. And so Ugandans shouldn't get desperate that we are not yet looking like Japan. But I think we are right there. What Honorable Kanya is talking about the cottage industries, is exactly what we are deploying as the industrial parks. They will do exactly the same impact. And now that we are here and we are able to talk about industries, we were not able to talk about industries when we had an economy of $3 billion. But now we can. And this is what you need to begin to look at. Just in the last 12 months, Uganda was able to bring 30 new products on the export market. Products that are made in Uganda by Ugandans and are sent out to the rest of the world. 30 new products. Means manufacturing is going on. We now have on our roads buses made in Ugandan factories by Ugandans. We have so many products that are beginning to get onto the market, made by Ugandans from Uganda, and that is the right track. So we're not exactly behind schedule. Now, the externalization of resources, which again my brother talked about, it is true. In these 40 years, if you are taking a child to school because they were not going to school before, first of all, by the time they're out, that's another 10, 15 years. So by the time they get the experience of building the dam, it is now, and they are beginning to build the dam. They are smart engineers this country has in the Ministry of Works, my God. You need to interact with a number of them. That road, the Ginger Nile Bridge, the smart engineers that are working there, that are maintaining it now, is knowledge transfer that he's talking about. Yes, the Japanese were doing the work, but there was a project for knowledge transfer to Ugandans now. They'll be able to develop the next and work on the next. Abubeka Technical Services is doing the road which we're using the other day to do Changwanzi. That's a Ugandan, completely Ugandan. So we are slowly getting to the spaces of making sure projects that are big, we have capacity of companies that can do them that are Ugandan companies. We have capacity in terms of skills of the individuals that are Ugandan. And I think the progress is excellent. We now have hubs, training, skilling hubs, residential hubs in all the areas of this country where Ugandans who have not had the chance to go to school are going and picking practical skills, which is exactly what changed these countries we're talking about. To be able to invest in tourism, to be able to invest, all these skills are now being acquired by Ugandans. Now, the reforms that we're talking about are the ones that are going to give jobs to the Ugandans. We're saying, and you know what he's saying? Take the borders off, but don't take them off. So what do we do? You understand? Because you want the tourists to come and feel comfortable. But honestly speaking, there is no way they are going to feel comfortable when you say the lights are green now and in front of you,
no,
you have
let
me just finish, please. I didn't interrupt you. You have 1,000 borders. Certainly that is not going to create an environment, an enabler that will get our tourism industry to spike. You know? So what do we do? Yes, these young people need jobs, but we must create them then into the tourism sector itself. They must then become the people who are doing the guiding in our industries, taking tourists around, as opposed to earning from riding a border. Let them now go into the sector of taking tourists around to Owino Market, to Kasubi Tombs, and things of that nature. So the government is really focused and thinking very hard on making sure we create alternative jobs in these sectors that will employ these Ugandans as we're starting to clean up. So you can't say, don't have the trade order, but then don't have the trade order. This is the problem I have with opposition. So what do we do?
No, I can take you through what you need to do.
Now let me go to the revolving door,
funds.
The revolving funds.
Yes.
The government, I think, did the most brilliant thing. Give somebody capital to start making money. Brilliant. The old woman who could never afford to buy 2-3 goats to start their business now has that opportunity. The president is going around showing us these films, and I just pray that all of us will make it our responsibilities, because an example teaches more than any class you know. People who had very little or nothing and now are able to make money and grow their businesses. That is the principle behind PDM. get capital, invest it in goats, invest it in chicken, invest it in a sheep, multiply it, and make money for your household, and make money that you can then save tomorrow and grow your business. Now, that is going very well, especially among women. Why? Because they are focused on making sure I am able to pay school fees for my children tomorrow. They are very focused. Similar to the GROW project which we have in the Ministry of Gender. This one is for women who are in business. So you give them more capital to expand their businesses and increase their potential. They are doing very well. They are taking care of the money and returning it. Now with PDM, I must say that the economic transfer, the release of funds, might have gone ahead of the social mindset change issue.
That is required.
That is required. So some people got the money and were not very well prepared mentally. The mindset change had not happened.
They were not equipped.
They were not equipped. And as a result, they perhaps got another wife and, enjoyed the money. So we do have that problem. And going forward, I would like to call myself the transformation agent. I want to speak to Ugandans, and I request every Ugandan listening, please, the money for PDM that comes into your household is capital. They don't eat capital, they don't buy mattresses with capital. They use capital to make more money. So when you get that capital, the government has said, we want you to come and be part of building this nation. We want you to participate in making more money, not to sleep better on a mattress today using the capital, but first use the capital, earn a profit out of it, then you can buy a better mattress, and then tomorrow you can build a better house. So our role as Ministry of Gender now really is, and myself, I'm very passionate about making sure that every Ugandan understands the mindset change issue that we are dealing with. We went into the oil city region the other day.
Yes, Hoima.
My God, the investment that government has made is huge. And now it is my prayer, and we as leaders in Bunyoro and leaders in this country, that we get our people prepared for the change that has happened. Because when you go through that area, you realize that the people have not yet probably understood that suddenly billions of dollars have been invested
in that particular place.
That where they are is no longer what they had. It is now a very expensive.
There's a bit of alienation, though, within what's being put there, but the people around the community
and this is our job, the mindset change. Now, to begin to tell the cultural people and the kingdom people who know this story, by the way, which may be written or not yet written, that now you have all this infrastructure. There are so many people that are going to be coming here. So please stage up
something.
Stage up an industry that revolves about earning money from nothing, except saying that Kabalega was the king of this place.
Those people are still asking for a university, by the way. But we'll certainly be getting into that conversation. I want to just bring in Honorable Kanya here to just, look at what benchmarks do the ministers here, and of course the 7th term, have to look at in terms of what do we call development, what should we be using as the KPIs or the benchmarks for 5 years later to say, well, you should have, or at least this should have been ticked off. On top of that, what lessons should they draw from the NDP3 and the others that came before that you feel they should be focusing on as they, make all these ambitious plans for the NDP4?
Thank you very much, Tracy. And I thank the minister. Anyway, we have to keep moving. The good thing, I thank God that I'm a student of President Museveni, because I've been here, and he told us that it took Korea 40 years to move from where it was a third world country to a first world. And we are now celebrating 40 years of President Museveni, Honorable Minister. And that's why I'm making reference. It is him who told us. It is fact. He took some of the speaker. We went to Korea and we saw what they did. So it is not any Secondly, the issue of the border. We have the national physical plan for Uganda. Even it was adopted immediately after independence, and even during the government of Idi Amin. So you allow people to put structures outside the physical plan. Then now you can't break it down. In fact, Ugandans are just sleeping. We should take government to court. So, honorable ministers, within these 5 years, can you implement the national fiscal plan? Because to establish sanitation in this city, it will cost us trillions. Because all homesteads in city, most 80%, we are on septic tanks. And yet, the national fiscal plan, which is a document adopted to spend a lot of money, is in the shelf. And this is a part of the document that these ministers go to Chakwanzi and adopt it, but implementation different. We have a plan to migrate the border young people. For how long will a young person ride border? In Kenya, you come out, you ride border, but there's a plan to migrate you from border to taxi. So you see circle taxis of the youth in Kenya. And then from there, they go to assembling. That is what we are talking about. That these young people, yes, 1 year border, 2 year circle taxi or bus, 3rd year put them to cottage industry. So kindly benchmark some of these things and we implement. In summary, I think we have very limited time.
Well, thank you so much, Honorable Kanya. As we conclude, Honorable Lydia Wanyoto, let's speak about what Ugandans should be looking forward to. By the end of the 5 years, we want to have this discussion and say, we achieved this as a country, we are here, and the higher middle income status is a reality by then. So kindly, paint a picture for us what that will look like 5 years from now.
My opinion is that we should not look back where we have come from. We have an opportunity to be alive even today. Let's really work very hard and meet the targets which we have set. Because sometimes you have a plan, but the plans gets disrupted. Yeah, we're looking at the health sector when we're in Chakwanzi. You plan, then you hear about epidemics, perceived and real. And then there are issues of how do you brand Uganda, communication. So you are talking about tourism, but there's the issue of communication, branding the country, but the issues of education and all issues of health. So we have disasters. So it's about hard work and being passionate and not sitting back and say, we also have issues of the resource envelope. We are thinking big, we have very big ambitions, but many of the ministries, when they took their policy statements to Parliament, they didn't achieve what they wanted. And we are expecting some cases, because of this background of finance, you get a zero release, then you get stuck. So we have to really be frugal with the resources, be passionate, and where possible, go an extra mile to deliver. And if we don't do that, we are going to have challenges. Or people, you yourselves will be asking us about accountability. And then I would say there was no money. Because if you go to Parliament, there is always a threshold for every sector. When you hear about the 84 or 82 trillion budget, we have to unpack it, and then you'll know what it is for the Ugandans you are talking about, the real feel of the Ugandan. Because most of the money is going to repay debts, and even the domestic debt, which speaks to the people. Where we're talking about local quota, where Ugandans supply, the domestic debt is big. So we have to be mindful of the needs of Ugandans, be frugal with the resources, but also be patriotic. Many people now, this is going to be personal and a challenge, many people now get into these positions, maybe with this commercialized politics. You want now to reorganize yourself and pay back of what you went through, then you are now off target. So it's like a call, a carrion call for us to stand up and say, let's do something for Uganda. But if you look at our budget, because whatever we say, at the end of the day, it speaks to the resource envelope. So we must be frugal with the resources, so that there's a trickle down. There's a trickle down to the people. Let people feel the government. Uganda is such a lucky country. I've been to many other places. If government doesn't work, people die. But Uganda, somehow, there is a disconnect. Someone can be in their homestead and have a vegetable in the backyard and have some chicken somewhere. That's why you find that this parish model. is now connecting to the real mwananchi. So you are asking me, I think that we went to Chankwanzi to build a whole government approach. By the end of the day, somebody in my village in Naweyambali, where I come from, must feel government. Not me, the whole government. We should work, because down there we have local councillors, we have leaders at the local government. There must be a clear relationship. But also that speaks to the budget, but also to what can work and what cannot work.
Well, thank you so much, Honorable Lydia Wanyoto, Woman Member of Parliament for Mbale City, and also the State Minister for Public Service. I was also joined by the Honorable Ekanya Joffre, a former legislator for Tororo County North, and I was also joined by
They should come back and we fix the
by the Honorable Minister of State for Gender, Mary Ftesa Kamani. Many thanks, Honorables, for joining us on topical discussion this morning. Well, that has been the discussion. It has been the discussion, and we're looking at the Chankwanzi retreat and having a kind of discussion on will these resolutions deliver results for many Ugandans. Now, before we get into a break, just in case you are looking to send money to family and friends in Kenya, Tanzania, or Rwanda, or Nigeria, well, then this is for you. Now, with SendWave Wallet, you will be able to hold and send digital dollars and cash out in Ugandan shillings whenever you are ready. But also remember, each digital dollar is backed up by $1 US, an actual US dollar. And remember, you can also make fee-free transfers between SendWave wallets across 110 plus countries, and which means you can send money directly from your SendWave wallet to another SendWave wallet without transfer fees. Now, your friends and family can hold their money in digital dollars and cash out their local currencies whenever they wish. Download SendWave. You can get this on your App Store or on your Google Store, and fund your wallet with $10 using the promo code NEXT and get $5 on us. Please note that SendWave makes money on the exchange rate. Terms and conditions apply. My name is Tracy Kansimir. Thank you for being a part of a topical discussion. Have a good morning.